has a way of making us want to say yes to everything: the trips, the brunches, the outfits, the experiences. And listen, there is nothing wrong with enjoying your life. In fact, I want you to enjoy your life. But what I don't want is for you to come out of the summer with credit card debt, regret, or feeling like you have to start over financially in the fall. Because here's the truth: you shouldn't have to choose between living your life and being financially responsible. You can have both. And that's exactly what we're getting into today: how to have your version of a hot girl summer without overspending, without guilt, and without sabotaging your financial goals. And to help us do that, I'm joined by Aleah Vassell, where she shares how to build stable wealth even with inconsistent or creative income. I love this perspective because even if your income is steady, the discipline and intentionality she brings to money is something we can all learn from. Aleah is the creator behind Creative with Money, where she shares relatable, real life strategies to help people build wealth, manage their money, and be their authentic selves. Aleah is focused on building stable wealth as an actor and a creative, and is focused on helping other creatives and artists do the same. Aleah, welcome to the show. I am so excited for this conversation because I love summer, I love budgeting, and I really do think they can go hand in hand. So
hmm
I'm very much looking forward to your perspective on really finding that balance. But before we get into that, can you just share a little bit about yourself and how Creative with Money came to be?
Yes, yes. And first off, thank you so much for having me. So Creative with Money came around when I started going from starving artist to high income creative. From 2020 and before, I was essentially living below the poverty line and didn't even realize it just because I was used to artists not making a lot of money. And so I think on average for me, that was like $15,000 a year. And then the pandemic happened, and we all remember the stimulus check, and then the unemployment check started coming in. And I was like, people are getting paid this much monthly, and like it's fine. So that was the year that I really kind of like dove into my identity of like, I don't need to be a starving artist. Um, and the year after, I quadrupled my income, went from about 20,000 that year to 116,000 at the end of the year. And I created Creative with Money so I could talk about it. And that was October 2022. It was a faceless account before faceless accounts like were a cool thing. It was essentially just like an anonymous blog. And now it kind of has taken an identity of its own, and it's bigger than me.
I love that. And
Yeah.
that's huge. And I feel like when people come from humble beginnings, so to speak,
Mhm.
and they come into money, I think it can go one of two ways, right? It can go in a way where in your instance, you took advantage and actually made something of it, or it could go the other way where you just blow it all. So
Yep.
I love to hear that. Was there anything that stood out to you, when it came to quadrupling your income? Specifically, like, was it from being a creator online, or was it something else that really skyrocketed that for you?
It was my business in virtual assisting. Um,
Wow.
that was one of the things that I tried in 2020, 2021, just kept going. And 2022, I started getting serious about it. So I had been working with uh, businesses and things under their business as a W-2 employee. And I was like, what does it look like for me to get my own clients as a self-employed freelancer? Um, and so in 2022, about 60,000 of that income was from virtual assisting.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
huge. That's
Yeah.
huge.
hmm
Okay. And did you have like experience in that before 2020, or did you start it because of the pandemic and obviously we were all kind of forced to figure things out? Like, was it a result of that specifically, or were you already doing that?
I had been an administrative assistant beforehand, but I hadn't done it virtually. So when 2020 came around, I saw like the buzz around virtual assistants, and I was like, I feel like I can do this. And 2022 is when I took it seriously and started being like, okay, I don't just have to work with a business, like I can get clients on my own. So yes, I had had a couple years of experience beforehand, but you don't need experience to be a virtual assistant. Like it's the skills that you are already good at that you don't realize that you can get paid for. And so the more research I did, the more I was like, oh, I know how to do this. Let me add it to my VA services. And so that's what I get to teach today. And it's really fulfilling to be like, watch the light bulb go off in people's heads of like, oh, I can get paid for that. So yeah.
Yeah, and I was just going to say like now you teach people how to do that exact same thing, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
awesome.
I would say I am a money coach for creatives, and that goes into money management for what they already have, and then also building income from their already existing skills, aka if they want to build their own virtual assistant business, I help them with that too.
Awesome. And I know we're going to get into some more specifics about that a little bit later, but one question I have for you, and you had even mentioned identity shift already, but being a self-employed creative, what would you say the identity shift was that really helped you move from just making money to actually building wealth and maybe pulling the thread through, leveraging that wealth to actually, sustain it?
That's real. Um, so in 2020, I had actually just graduated with my second theater degree. So I got an MFA in acting. And then theater shut down because a pandemic happened. And I really had to look at who I was outside of being an actor. And that's when I had that mindset shift of like starving artist, this is all I've known, but like um this is also a choice I'm making. This is a narrative that I've heard that I've played into, and I kind of looked at, do I have to be a starving artist? Like I can make money outside of my field. And once I started taking that on of like, even if I make money outside of acting, I'm still an actor. Um, and having financial stability actually makes me a better artist. Flipping the starving artist mindset on its head, then that's when things started coming to me because I was no longer limiting my income. I was looking at all opportunities equally.
I love that. And, you and I had talked about this before we press record that I was into acting when I was in LA. And
Yeah.
I totally wish I had that mindset. So when I graduated college, I had no choice but to get a job because I had to afford to live out there.
Yep.
But I was strategic in the job I got. My hours were 3 to 9. And my thought process was, okay, I'll go to auditions like in the morning, in the early afternoon, and then get to work 3 to 9. But I really wasn't making enough to sustain what I needed to sustain out there.
Yeah.
But thinking back, I wish I kind of thought about it the way you do, because just because you're making money in other ways doesn't mean you aren't who you are or what you're trying to be, right? Like it doesn't have to be one or the other. So I really love hearing that.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, I love that like you did the thing that I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to get to California to be in film. So that is incredible.
You are going to get there. You're going to get there. So, good luck. And, anyways,
Thank you.
I know we can probably go down that road, but I want to kind of tailor it back to summer budgeting, having a hot girl summer on a budget.
Yeah.
As someone in a creative field, as you are, with, potentially inconsistent income, or if someone is listening to this and they have inconsistent income, maybe that's a better way to phrase it.
Yeah.
How would they define hot girl summer for them? And is there a way where we can take that thought process and remove money from that equation, right? Like, do we need money to have a hot girl summer?
No, no.
I didn't think so.
I think for me, having a hot girl summer is prioritizing your joy. You don't necessarily have to spend money in order to, bring happiness into your life. Yes, it helps, but like getting outside is free, like go on walks with your friend, go on hikes with your friend, like find places to swim, all of these things. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I'm gonna buy my favorite like sundress that I've been looking at, or oh, I'm gonna go on this like $500 cruise. There are ways to be frugal and still have a wonderful summer. Um, if you do want to travel, let's go. Like that's great. There's no need to not do things. I think it's just about being intentional. And
Mhm.
if you do have an inconsistent income, planning ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And I think you make such a good point. Like, you or anyone really, you don't have to spend money to have a good time. That's something that, like, I have worked through over the years. And that's,
Yeah.
way before City Girl Savings days, but it's really true. But I will say, I think there might be a pressure aspect to it, right? I mean, in your opinion, do you feel like creatives or business owners or freelancers, women in general, do you feel like they experience more pressure to spend during the summer because of the events, because of, networking or vacations or people coming in town or
Yeah.
appearances, things like that? What do you think the pressure aspect of it is as it relates to summer?
I would say women especially, because even in media, we are their target consumers. So adding a business on top of that, wanting to go to those events, wanting to have those networking opportunities, wanting to make sure you look the part to where you feel confident in what you're presenting. Yes, yes, yes. Um, I think a way to combat that is to go back to your values of like, can I bring out what I had in my closet from last year and maybe add an accessory to it? Like what actually matters to you when it comes to those opportunities? Because it doesn't have to be about spending in order to feel good. Like you can shop your closet or you can um swap with your friend. Like you can there's just so many ways to go about it if you're being intentional.
Yeah. And, I think that brings a really good point, which is you have to get clear on your values, maybe
Hmm.
even before you move into the summer season or any season, right? I
Yeah.
think it's so important to know what's important to you and also maybe like what your end goal is, right?
Yeah.
Because whatever that is or whatever that looks like, the actions that you take hopefully should be aligned with that and help you get there. So
Yep.
if you're not concerned with like spending a lot of money to wear designer clothes, that
Hmm.
shouldn't even be a pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Okay.
I do think it's very much like a keeping up with the Joneses
For
sometimes of
sure.
like we see all of these wonderful, beautiful women business owners like in their top outfits and their like lush makeup. And it's like, oh, do we have to look like that too? And it's like, you can, but also your confidence and your offer and your personality is truly what sells. Like I don't have makeup on right now, but that's me. I don't wear makeup, and
Right.
I'm still out here coaching people. I'm still out here helping people. So I really do think it boils down to like what your priorities are.
Yes. And you look gorgeous, by the way. So,
Thank you so much.
speaking about that though, I almost feel like we can segment it into two ways, right? Like as a business owner, there are pressures, a woman business owner, a small business owner, there are certain pressures, especially when we can see what everyone else is doing online. But I
Yeah.
think too, you mentioned keeping up with the Joneses. That could apply to, non-business owners, just women in general. I feel like
Mhm.
when I was living in LA, I was definitely in that category, right? I was trying to keep up with what was happening around me. And
Yeah.
it's because I wasn't clear on my values or what really mattered to me. So I think going back to that point, it's really important to make sure that that is a step that everybody takes.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I can't even imagine what it's gonna be like, in LA. And I for those who don't know, I'm trying to move there. I'd love to move there by the end of the year. But I'm also really happy that this is a move that I'm doing in my 30s, like
Mhm.
early 32, but it's like I feel like I have a good idea of who I am. You know, I have my family, I have my wife. So it's like going there and being about the work in the community versus trying to figure out who I am. And hopefully that will alleviate the pressures of uh, keeping up with the Joneses personally for me. But yeah, I think once you know who you are, it's a little bit easier to not feel like you have to listen to everyone and everything because you
Mhm.
know what you actually care about and who you actually care about.
Right. I
Yeah.
completely agree. Yeah, and I think, knowing who you are, knowing what's important to you, making a
Yeah.
move like from where you are to LA, having that foundation is it's only going to benefit you.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Okay, so I'm curious, how does having inconsistent or creative or freelance income change the way you approach spending, especially during, high spend seasons like summer? Like, what do people need to think or keep in mind when it comes to spending, in those high spend seasons?
Mhm. Um, well, with me, I do want to say, like, I'm coming at it from a place of privilege. Over the past couple years, I have been able to at least save up a month of expenses 30 days before I need it. And this year, I am so blessed to have started my year with a year of expenses saved. But before this, I was really aware of when my income was coming in. A lot of people, if you have inconsistent income, you're kind of like, oh, well, I'll get the check eventually and this and that. No, I knew it to a T. I was like, okay, so I sent this invoice and this client has until this day. With my part-time job, I asked for the pay schedule. I knew exactly what day it was coming. And I would look at the money that I knew was coming in and I would budget with that. I
Okay.
would never budget with money that I wasn't sure when it was coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So say you've got a brand deal and you're going to get $1,000, but you're not sure when that $1,000 is actually going to come in. Act like you don't have it yet. You can make a plan of what you'd like to do with it, but until it shows up in your account, that is not money that you have. So, I like to plan ahead like that of this is the money that I have for this month. This is when it comes in, and when it comes in, I can allot it to these bills, I can allot it to this sinking fund, I can allot it to this fund money, but it really is about planning ahead and being intentional.
Yeah, I mean that's such a good point. I mean it's so easy to map out income we know eventually will come and then we
Yeah.
get excited and then we like spend it before we get it, right? And then maybe
Yep.
there's a delay or something happens and then, we're in the hole or by the time that money gets there, you really need it for something else. So
Yeah.
I think that's such good advice. You had mentioned your savings, which is, such a huge accomplishment. For
Thank
someone
you.
who, doesn't have consistent income, what are
Mhm.
some tips that you could give for them to start building up that savings? And before you answer that, I just want to add that that savings is really a buffer or a cushion while you're waiting for income. So I think it's incredibly important, especially if
Yeah.
income is inconsistent.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And whatever you want to call this fund, I like to call it life cushion fund. A lot of people call it emergency fund. I feel like words have power, so I don't want to save for emergencies. I want to save for when life happens. But whatever you call it, as long as you know the purpose of it, like then you can build.
Mm.
I think for someone who's just starting out, who has inconsistent income and doesn't really know where to go, I would start with saving your first thousand. I
Okay.
think the average advice is to build to 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. That can take a long time. That can take a very long time.
Hmm.
So break it down even further than that because 3 months of expenses, say you spend 3,000 per month. So that's $9,000 that you're you're trying to put in your life cushion fund. $1,000 is a lot less than that and a lot more doable. So I would look at trying to see what that looks like to save $1,000 in a year. Divide that by 12 and then save that up monthly. I don't know what that is on the top of my head. Um, but that's where you want to start.
Okay.
And if something happens, if an emergency happens and you dip in, that is okay
Hmm.
because that's what that money is for. You just keep going. But once you get that first thousand, then you start building on top of that. But we don't want to overwhelm with the big goals. We
Hmm.
just want to start. Even 500 is a win. So
Right.
yeah, I would say starting with 1,000 and going from there.
And, that's a great perspective. And would you recommend that someone work to get that thousand maybe as quickly as they can? I know you said, take it monthly, but let's say they got a bigger check than they were expecting or more money is coming in. I mean, right off the bat, should that money be saved for their life cushion?
I think it depends on what is happening in their monthly needs, but after everything is paid off, like the bills and the things that you know you need, and also just the variable expenses you have, if you do have extra money to put toward your life cushion fund, yes, I do think it really is important, especially today in the economy that we're in,
Mhm.
um, to have as much cash as you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great perspective. And yeah, I mean, given where we are in the state of
Mm-hmm.
our country and the world, I definitely agree
Yep.
with that.
Yeah.
And, let's assume though that maybe we weren't in as bad of times as we are now. What would you
Sure.
say to someone who wanted to invest? Like maybe they hit their savings goal, or maybe they haven't, but they have investing really heavy on the brain because they see it everywhere and they see people
Yeah.
talking about it. What guidance would you give someone who is struggling with saving and investing, or choosing investing over saving?
Gotcha. I would say it's possible to do both. I think it's just about the way that you go about it because you can still invest $10 to $25 a month and like
Yes.
that count. Because at the end of the year, $25 a month times 12, that's $300 invested. That might be wrong, but that that's still more than you had before.
Right.
I do think when it comes to saving and investing, um, I would make sure that high income, like high interest debt is paid off first.
Okay.
There's a difference between having a mortgage and having credit card debt. Credit
Hmm.
card debt is something that needs to go ASAP because they are just taking your money interest by interest, month by month. But if it's student loans, if it's something that's fixed, like continue to pay those off. But if it's not something that's fixed, I would focus on paying that down first before investing. But I think saving and investing you can do at the same time.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially, given a person's resources, right? Assuming that they have money to cover their responsibilities and there's extra left over. I
Yeah.
think that's a great perspective. And something for listeners to kind of keep in mind. But again, maybe you keep the current state of the economy in your mind as well. Like no matter what that looks like for a person, I think that plays a role. And, sometimes you'll realize having a savings is more important right now than having money in investments.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So obviously, with, creatives or business owners, freelancers, there is this, need for money to come in and therefore a
Mhm.
need to kind of put yourself out there or do things that, may help you make more money.
Yeah.
How does one balance saying yes to opportunities or saying yes to investing in themselves or their business, but without overcommitting financially?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um,
There might not be a right answer here.
yeah,
There might
sure.
not exist.
I think when I was first starting my business, I can even say it, heavily leaned on YouTube University. I
Hmm.
think if there's something that you want to learn and you do not have the income to invest, there is a lot of free resources out there. And if it's something that you're finding a cap on in learning and you're still interested in the level that you've gotten to, and you're like, I want to learn more, okay, then it's time to invest. But I think it is about investing smartly and the opportunity that you're saying yes to, look at, is it going to help me for 30 days or is it going to help me for 6 months?
Mm,
Like, look at what you're going to get back in from that opportunity or that investment. But yeah, I would always just start with like the free information that you can get. And then if it's something that's really piquing your interest and you're like, oh, I'm into this, I know this can help me, go for it.
yeah, I think that's such great advice. And there are so many resources. I mean, even with AI being what it is now, like you can get information really at your fingertips. So I I feel like I needed to hear you say that way back when I started City Girl Savings because I'm this type of person where I have no problem doing the research, but
Yeah.
I also have no problem investing in myself or my business. But I think early on I invested in the wrong things and it was to my
Mhm.
detriment. And I really didn't take some time to just do some research before I made those investments. So I think that's really good advice for anyone listening. You know, if you can find the answer, yes, it will require time up front, but might save you in the long run.
Yeah, yeah. I am also one to just let's go, invest all the time. And as my business has grown, I have become more discerning is the word, with where I'm putting my money. And I look back at the options that I made when I was first starting and I was like, it's okay because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah,
And every investment, whether it was good or bad, it was a learning opportunity.
for
So
sure. For sure.
I hear you 100%.
You know, sometimes that's the best way to learn. If you can avoid learning the hard way, you know, I would recommend anyone take that route, but
Uh-huh.
sometimes you just got to learn the hard way.
Yep. Because it's like if you learn the hard way, you're not going to do it again. And if you do
Exactly.
it again, like then maybe you do need to learn the hard way again. You know what I mean?
For
So
sure. For sure. So, when this episode airs, it's right at the start of June. So, I'm going to ask you this question, and maybe someone listening can apply it maybe in preparation for next summer. But
okay.
for, you know, someone who maybe isn't financially prepared this summer, what do you recommend for them to do right now, but also to do in advance in preparation for next summer?
Cool. Um, I think where I would start is just do a brain dump. What do you like to do during the summer? And after you do that, go back and look at how much all of those things cost. Do you like to travel? Where do you like to travel? Just really like dig in and get very clear on like what brings you joy, what kind of summer you're looking to have. And I think from that, you can then start saving for those opportunities.
Hmm.
One of the things that I do that I feel like applies to the situation is I have a holiday sinking fund for November and December, New Year's, Christmas gifts, and Black Friday. I start saving for that in January every
Mm.
year.
Hmm.
So I think if summer is a place that you know you want to spend without limitation, it's just about preparing for that. And
Right.
once you make that list of like, what do I like to do? How much does it cost? Reverse engineer. If you are trying to save for that in June, so that's about 6 months, find that total, divide by six, and
Mhm.
see if that is a realistic savings goal that you can achieve every month. I'm gonna say it a million times, but it really is about planning ahead if you
Yes.
are a creative with inconsistent income.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's really about planning ahead, even if you have consistent income, but even
Mhm.
more so if your income is inconsistent. And,
Yeah.
you know, I wanted to say on that note, having the sinking funds you mentioned, I think that's a great idea. And, having a summer sinking fund if someone loves to spend in the summer. And even
Mhm.
if someone loves to spend in the summer, but maybe they have kids or they like to, tap into that, back to school energy,
Yeah.
include that in your planning and preparation as well, because it's at the end of summer and you may have spent all your money, but now we got to get ready for back to school.
Yeah, sinking funds can be the saving grace. I know people who have Beyonce sinking funds because they never know when she's going to drop those tickets. Act 3 hopefully will be coming up. So it's really about like what brings you value,
Hmm.
um and making a sinking fund for that because there can be funds for anything.
Yeah.
So if summer is something that you are like, I want to go all out, just start saving ahead.
Agree. And, on that note, I don't want anyone listening here to feel like they have to have a certain amount or they have to
Sure.
have, X amount to be prepared. I mean, at the end of the day, even if you have something saved in preparation for summer or whatever you're looking forward to, that's
Hmm.
a win in and of itself, right? So I
Yeah.
think women, need to kind of take that pressure off a little bit, especially when you have inconsistent income because you just don't know what the future looks like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, and to go back to what we were saying, like, reminder that you don't have to spend money to have a good time.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's like maybe the summer plans that you have, if you don't have the money for them, they don't have to be summer plans. They can be fall plans. They can be Christmas plans, but know that like what you want is possible. Um, and there can be a season for everything.
I'm so glad you said that because it goes back to what we were talking about, feeling that pressure, right? Even if it's internal pressure that we're putting on ourselves, like
Yeah,
sometimes we just have to take a beat. And if it's not realistic or if it's not in the budget or you just don't have the funds for it, or if you spent that money, you would be putting yourself behind or your future self would have to handle it. It's
yeah,
okay to just take a beat. There are other ways to enjoy yourself or have a good time without getting behind financially.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Okay, but speaking of like being on a budget, a lot of my listeners and a lot of the women in my community are on a budget or they have financial goals. What are some creative ways to enjoy summer that align with a person's financial goals instead of derailing them, or just budget friendly ways to enjoy summer?
Cool. Um, I brought up like a little bit of them earlier. I'll just recap those of like get outside. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, the sun is so good for you on every level of being a human, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Find ways to get outside. Another way that I think people can get creative and just have a good summer on a budget is talking to your community and being like, what are ways that we can hang out? What are ways that we can have fun together that don't always have to be us spending money? I've done that before, and some things that have come up with me and my friends is we will do dinner swaps. So, like once a week, I'll go over to their place and they'll cook a home cooked meal, and then I'll host them the next week. Or instead of going out and getting drinks at the bar, I don't even drink. But just like going out somewhere, we'll host a board game night, or they can just come over to my house, bring a bottle if they need. And we're just really intentional about spending time together and knowing that like you don't necessarily have to spend money in order to enjoy each other's company.
Yes, I love that you mentioned like looking kind of at your community. One thing that they do in my area is movies in the park. So there's this kind of big open
Oh,
park and they have like a screen and they'll broadcast a movie on it and like it's for anyone of all ages. Like
yeah.
check your community website. Like
Yes.
most places have events all times of the year, right? But that's a great option.
Yeah, definitely. That
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. But
Yeah.
like that used to be something that I would do in college. We had like a projector and we'd put it outside and we'd just invite all our friends over. But yeah, there's so many like street festivals to go to and so
Yes.
many free music shows in the park. Like you're onto something.
Yeah. I mean, museums, even like getting outside, like most places have like nature trails and parks.
Mhm.
Like the weather is usually the best it's going to be in the summer, maybe
Yeah.
really early in the morning or really later in the evening. But,
Yeah.
explore all the parks and trails. Like,
Mhm.
I think there's an app called All Trails. I think that's what it's called.
Yes.
A client had mentioned it to me, and like, it's crazy how like you don't even know what's close by to you, and you can take advantage of. Um, Another thing too that I've had clients do is like go to their community pool and have like a little pool party either with their friends or their kids or their pets, right? Like a doggy pool party.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's $1, $2 if the community pool charges an entry fee. So, I mean, I think to your point, Aleah, it's just getting creative, just, kind of using your noggin and knowing what's close by and taking advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Getting creative with money, you might say.
Exactly. Exactly.
Rhea,
um,
you set me up for that one.
Totally. So, I mean, we've talked about, making sure that you have your values aligned so pressure doesn't impact you. We've talked about ways that you can enjoy yourself in the summer without spending a lot of money or breaking the budget.
Yeah.
Let's talk about FOMO because I feel like fear of missing out is almost its own beast, if you will,
Mhm.
especially if there are opportunities to spend or get out that are tied to career or just social life. So, how would you recommend someone deal with that FOMO?
I think for the FOMO aspect, it's looking at like that there will be more opportunities. I think for me is being like, okay, this might feel bad in the moment, but future me is going to be thankful that we sat this out. And there will always be another time. Like that's kind of it. I used to experience FOMO, a lot in my 20s, but now I have JOMO, which is the joy of missing out.
Same.
But like that that is something that you grow to. But yeah, I definitely do think it's about being like, this is not the end of the world. And just because I'm missing it this time doesn't mean there's not going to be a next time.
Yeah, and I think it takes practice to
Hmm.
get to that mental space, right? So
Yeah.
if someone listening to this struggles with FOMO, like give yourself some grace, but
Yeah.
it also might kind of take a couple of hard lessons of indulging FOMO and putting yourself behind to realize like, oh, this is not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, hard
And
lessons, right? We
I was
talked
about to
about.
say, I was like, a lesson learned is still a lesson learned. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think too, like maybe practically it's just, you know, if you have four opportunities in front of you, maybe start by only saying yes to two, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe it doesn't have to be cold turkey, you can't do anything, but
sure.
start scaling back so that you can show yourself you're capable of scaling back, but also show yourself that it's not that serious if you scale back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And just know that like even if it's something that you want to say yes to, there's power in your no, and like
Mhm.
giving a no to somebody is you saying yes to yourself.
Ooh,
Like
yes.
yeah, you can still want to do something, but know that it's not the best choice for you. So, scaling back is definitely helpful, but also just like every time you say no to something, just remember that you're taking your power back. Like this is a way of reclaiming your power. That could be like just a helpful thing to think of.
And while I totally believe no is a complete sentence, right? It's not like no, but I
Yep.
do think that there is power in having conversations with people in your life that maybe like you enjoy spending money with, right? Even if
Yep.
neither of you or none of you should be. So while no is a complete sentence, if you are on this journey of really trying to manage your money until you get to a place where you're comfortable with it,
Yeah.
share that with the people in your life, especially the people that maybe tempt you to spend or kind of encourage or indulge you or enable you. I
Hmm.
think, as much as it's a hard topic to bring up, it's so necessary. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
I definitely think you're right. And another thing to think about is if these type of people are if they know you as a certain way of you spend money, you go out to the bar, you buy everyone drinks, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, "Hey, I'm trying something different. I don't want to do that anymore." There is probably going to be pushback. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think when the pushback comes, just realize like it's not about you, it's about um the old version of you and you're stepping into the new version of you.
Mm-hmm.
So if they continue to push back, if they continue to, like make prodding little jokes that sometimes it's just like that's their way of coping with a thing, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have anything to do with you. Just continue to stay firm of like you say no to something and they're like, "But come on, just keep saying no." Like
Yeah.
eventually they will get it if they really love you.
That's such a good message. That's very important to say, and I'm really glad you mentioned that because it can be hard to change your behavior even if you know it's for your benefit and
Mhm.
people kind of react a way you don't expect them to. So that was
Yep.
really good insight.
Thank you.
So, a question I have for you, I mean, you have obviously, gotten to a place with making money as a business owner and, feeling stable with that. I know there's someone listening here who is working towards that and maybe it feels far away or it doesn't seem possible right now. What advice would you say to someone who is struggling with kind of their getting to their breakthrough?
Yeah. I think if you are struggling with getting to your breakthrough, um, the first thing that I can encourage you to do is find financial security, even if it is temporary. Um, One thing with me and my business, I think the reason that it grew so large so quickly is because I was in a stable place. At the time, I did have a 9 to 5, and I was an executive virtual assistant at my 9 to 5. And I continued to build clients on the side. And so, since I wasn't building from a place of scarcity, I had that
Mhm.
abundance. So, like,
Yes.
if your business is currently like not making ends meet, if you get a part-time job, or if you start door dashing, or if you start Ubering, that is okay because we know it's only temporary and you're doing what you need to do in order to fund the life that you are passionate about. Um, there is no shame in getting financial security in a way that allows you to build your business. So I just
Totally.
want to like I just feel like there's a lot of shame in that of like, oh,
Hmm.
I have to get a second job or blah blah blah. Like I went through that as an artist as well. But I just want to nip that in the bud of like do what you need to do in order to build the dreams that you have.
Oh, I think that's such great advice. And I mean, you're right. There is so much shame behind that because it almost makes people feel like, well, I'm a failure or this didn't work or this isn't working. And that's not true. I mean, you're just getting yourself to a place where you're making ends meet so you can really focus on what you ultimately want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's great advice.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, so if someone wants to enjoy their summer, which is coming up, and they want to stay financially aligned, what's
Mhm.
the first step they should take literally this week, literally right now, like after listening to this episode? Like, what can they do to make sure that they're enjoying summer the best way they can while staying financially aligned?
This is gonna sound so obvious, and your community already does this, but to those who are just now listening, you want a budget. Like
Yes.
I can't be any clearer about that because budgets are not about restriction. It is about telling your money where to go. And if you can be in control of your money, then you can have a good time. So I
Yes.
think that is the first thing that you want to do is look at all of your expenses that you have to pay every month and then look at the leftover money and make a plan with it. So that can take 30 minutes if you've never done it before, but like that is an easy, free thing that you can do today. Um, I think another way to enjoy your summer is do what we were talking about. Like look at those free events. Um,
Yeah.
if you can't travel, fill up your weekend with like, okay, let's go to this free event. Let's go to this free event and make it a community effort. Talk to your friends and like everyone scavenge and see what you can do. But I would start filling up your calendar with fun things to do so you're not trying to be somewhere else with money that you don't have. And then getting in control of the money that you do have.
Totally agree. And just, kind of adding my 2 cents in on the budgeting aspect. When you
Mhm.
budget your money out, you know what you actually have to spend on the fun things, right? Like
Yeah.
after your priorities are covered, after we got groceries and gas and all that's taken care of, you know what you're left with. And
Yes.
maybe that gives you more options than you think.
hmm hmm
Yep,
We
totally
love
agree.
fun money, but we love intentional fun money.
Yes, agreed. We love fun money after the responsibilities are taken care
Exactly.
of. Aaliyah, this is such a great conversation. I know that my audience definitely took some things away from this, so I appreciate you so much for coming on. Before
Thank
we
you.
wrap, can you share where listeners can connect with you and maybe a little bit more about what you teach in case someone is interested?
Yes, most definitely. The places that I hang out on the social medias, you will find me on Instagram, you will find me on Threads. Sometimes I'm on TikTok, but all of my handles are Creative with Money. On Instagram, I also have a community page, which is Creative with Money Co. Some of the things that I have coming up is when it comes to money coaching, I'm actually creating a community that you can get on the wait list for. It is called the Creative with Money Club, where creatives learn to build wealth and keep it and feel good about it without a 9 to 5. And then for those future virtual assistants out there, I have a course called the Virtual Assistant Accelerate that is going to get launched super soon. So just come on over. I've got a bunch of freebies. I've got a bunch of ways to get free resources and paid resources. But um, let's be creative with monies together.
Yes, I love that. I will definitely link to your pages in the show notes. And that way people can connect with you and hopefully learn from you. So thank you again for being here and
Yeah,
good
thank
luck
you.
with your LA move.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a hot girl summer as well.
Oh, I'm trying.